If you're over 60, there's a quiet threat inside your home that no one warned you about. It's not your medicine cabinet. It's not your refrigerator. It's not even your front door. It's your staircase. Not while you're running, not while you're carrying groceries, not while you're dancing with your grandkids, but in the stillness of a normal night, after dinner, before bed, when your guard is down, you take those familiar steps like you've done for decades, and that's exactly when it can strike. Stroke, a clot that forms without pain, a vessel that tears without warning, a brain that shuts down in silence, all triggered by a habit so routine, most seniors never question it. You've been told that staying active is good, that movement keeps you young, but what if no one told you when movement becomes dangerous, especially for an aging heart, stiffened arteries, or a brain that now needs more oxygen just to stay awake? What if the moment you think you're doing something right, climbing those stairs to get to bed, you're actually putting your brain at risk? That's what I've seen as a neurologist. Again and again. Strong, independent older adults suffering strokes not because they were careless, but because they weren't told the full truth. And that's why I made this video. To walk you through 9 stair climbing habits that may be putting you at risk right now without you even knowing. Because it's not about stopping, it's about moving smarter. Knowing when your body's ready and when it's not. And trust me, you'll want to stay with me until the end. The most dangerous habit is the one almost no one talks about. If you live in a 2-story home or care about someone who does, this could be the most important video you watch this year. Mornings are meant to be peaceful, a fresh start, a warm cup of coffee, maybe the quiet sound of birds outside your window. But for older adults, what you do in the first few minutes after waking could mean the difference between a safe day and a stroke that changes your life forever. You might think, I just woke up, I feel fine, and head straight to the stairs. Maybe to feed the cat, grab something from upstairs, or start the laundry. But here's what most people don't realize. Your body, after hours of sleep, is in a fragile transitional state. While you sleep, your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows, your blood vessels constrict. That's normal. But when you suddenly stand, walk, and climb, you're asking your cardiovascular system to jump from 0 to 60 instantly. And if you're over 60, that demand can be too much. Let me give you the numbers. In a large study by Dr. Cario and his team, older adults who experienced a sudden spike in morning blood pressure, known as the morning surge, were nearly 3 times more likely to suffer a stroke. Just a 50-point rise in systolic pressure could tip the balance. And for many, that rise happens exactly when they hit the stairs too soon after waking. You see, stiffened arteries can't adapt quickly. Dehydration from the night makes blood thicker. Your brain, still waking up, is vulnerable. One wrong step, one pressure surge, and a clot that's been sitting quietly in your carotid artery could move. Instead of rushing, sit at the edge of your bed for a minute. Breathe, stretch your legs, drink a glass of water. Let your system wake up gradually, because instead of asking your body to sprint out of sleep, you're giving it a chance to adjust. And that one small change could protect your speech, your balance, even your life. You place your hand on the railing, one foot on the step, and begin to climb. It's quiet. Nothing feels out of the ordinary. But somewhere between the 3rd and 4th step, your body tenses. And without even noticing, you stop breathing. It happens to more older adults than you'd think. Not because they're anxious, not because they're out of shape, but because over time your body develops silent habits. Habits that used to help when you were young, but now put your brain in danger. It's called the Valsalva maneuver, a reflex where we hold our breath during effort. And while it may seem harmless, in seniors, it can be deadly. Here's why. When you hold your breath during exertion, like climbing stairs, pressure builds inside your chest. That sudden internal pressure reduces blood returning to the heart. Your blood pressure spikes. Blood flow to the brain briefly drops, then surges, often violently. Now imagine that surge hitting stiff, narrowed arteries. A small tear can form, a clot can dislodge, a fragile vessel can rupture, and the result isn't just dizziness, it's a stroke. I treated a patient, Mrs. Carol Mendez, who climbed stairs twice a day for decades, but over time she developed neuropathy and mild hypertension. One morning halfway up, she paused. Her son found her moments later unconscious. The cause? A vessel deep in her brain had burst, triggered by a sudden blood pressure spike from breath holding. She survived, but her speech still hasn't fully returned. So here's what I want you to remember. Never climb stairs while holding your breath. Exhale as you step. Breathe slowly. Let your breathing guide your pace. Instead of pushing through, pause when needed. You're not falling behind. You're protecting your brain. And that's the kind of strength that matters most. For many older adults, mornings follow a comforting routine. A cup of coffee, maybe a heart pill or blood pressure medication, a few sips of water, then up the stairs to get dressed, grab your reading glasses, or make the bed. It feels harmless, normal. But that combination, taken at the wrong time, can quietly create the perfect storm inside your body. Here's what happens. Caffeine, even in small amounts, triggers the release of adrenaline. That's the same hormone your body produces during moments of stress. It makes your heart beat faster, tightens your blood vessels, and raises your blood pressure. Now layer that with medications. Beta blockers can blunt your body's response. Diuretics can leave you dehydrated. Supplements, even the so-called natural ones, may include stimulants. Your heart is adjusting, your vessels are constricting, and your blood is thick from the lack of water. And then you climb the stairs. Your legs demand oxygen, your heart races faster, your blood pressure surges upward. In a younger body, this might just mean a little sweat. But for someone over 60, especially with stiffened arteries or pre-existing vascular issues, this spike can tear delicate vessel walls or dislodge a clot that's been sitting quietly in your neck for weeks. That's exactly what happened to Mrs. Hilda Raymond, a 74-year-old widow who took an over-the-counter brain clarity supplement after her morning coffee. She climbed the stairs as usual, but by the time she reached the landing, she was flushed, dizzy, and slurring her words. Her blood pressure had spiked to 210 over 110. A clot had moved, and just like that, her speech was gone. So what's the takeaway? Don't climb stairs immediately after caffeine or medication. Wait at least 30 minutes. Drink water. Let your body adjust, because instead of rushing to check off your morning tasks, you're giving your brain time to protect itself, and that's a choice that could save your independence. Dinner's done. The dishes are clean. You feel full, maybe a little tired. And without thinking twice, you walk toward the staircase. It's part of the routine. Head upstairs. Get ready for bed. But what if I told you that this exact moment, after a big meal, is one of the riskiest times for your brain? Here's why. After eating, especially a heavy dinner, rich in fats, salt, or carbohydrates, your body begins a process called postprandial blood redistribution. That's a fancy way of saying your blood shifts away from your brain and muscles and toward your digestive system. Your gut becomes the priority. Digestion requires blood flow, so your brain gets less, your muscles get less. And yet, when you climb the stairs, your legs suddenly demand more. Your heart beats faster, but your brain is still in a low-flow state. That mismatch creates what I call a silent danger zone. Mr. Albert Jennings, age 83, lived through it. He just finished a hearty roast beef dinner with mashed potatoes and a glass of wine. Wanting to help his wife, he went upstairs to shut a window. But halfway up, he felt dizzy. His legs buckled. Within minutes, he couldn't speak. A clot had moved, lodged in the language center of his brain. He'd had no warning signs, no prior strokes, just a poorly timed climb with a full stomach. So what can you do? Wait at least 30 to 45 minutes after a heavy meal before climbing stairs. Let your body digest. Give your brain a chance to rebalance. Instead of seeing the stairs as just a few steps, recognize that after dinner, there is serious demand on your system. A demand that could tip the scales if you're not careful. The meal can wait in your stomach, but your brain can't wait for oxygen. It's 2:30 a.m. You wake up needing a glass of water, maybe to adjust the thermostat upstairs or check on a sound you thought you heard. The house is quiet, the lights are off, and you tell yourself, I've walked these stairs 1,000 times. But your brain at 2:30 a.m. is not the same as your brain at 2:30 p.m. That's what many seniors don't realize until it's too late. As we age, several systems in our body begin to lose sharpness, especially at night. Your vestibular system, the part of your brain that handles balance, becomes more fragile. Your reaction time slows. Your postural control, your ability to stay upright if you sway, weakens. Now combine that with dehydration from hours of sleep, low blood pressure from lying down, and total darkness. What you have is a perfect storm. Let me tell you about Mrs. Clara Watkins, age 82, a retired nurse, lived alone. She'd wake up around 3 a.m. almost every night to open a window upstairs, never turn the light on, said it hurt her eyes. One night she missed the third step, not a fall, just a stumble, but the effort to catch herself sent her blood pressure into a brief surge. A clot dislodged. By morning, she couldn't move her left hand or speak clearly. It wasn't the stumble that caused the stroke. It was the chain reaction inside her body, from darkness, dehydration, and sudden movement. So what can you do? Keep a motion sensor nightlight in the hallway. Use the railing, even if you feel steady. Sit up for a moment before standing. Sip water before you move. And most importantly, never assume that just because you know your house, your brain will follow along in the dark. Because at night, the danger isn't what you see, it's what you don't feel until it's too late. There's a moment many older adults face quietly, a decision made in private. I don't need the cane today. I'll skip the handrail. I've got this. And sometimes that choice comes from pride, sometimes from fear, of looking weak, of seeming fragile. But what if I told you that avoiding support may be the very thing that takes away your independence for good? As a neurologist, I've seen this story far too many times. Seniors who fall, not because they were reckless, but because they refused the very tool that could have saved them: a handrail, a cane, a steady grip. Mr. Thomas Riley, age 81, is one of those stories. A retired Navy mechanic. Still drove himself to church every Sunday. His daughter bought him a beautiful cane with an engraved handle, but he rarely used it. Makes me feel old, he said. One night, heading upstairs with a cup of tea and a folded sweater, he skipped the handrail. Third step from the top, his foot slipped. No big fall, just a twist. But by morning, his speech was slurred. His right hand wouldn't lift. A stroke. Scans showed the culprit: an injury to the carotid artery from the fall, a small tear where a clot formed, then moved while he slept. You see, it's not always the fall that harms you. It's what happens inside your body after the inflammation, the clotting, the silent cascade. And here's the part that breaks my heart. Mr. Riley told me I didn't want to look weak in front of my grandson. Now that same grandson pushes his wheelchair to therapy. So here's the truth. Using a handrail isn't giving up. It's choosing safety. Carrying a cane isn't defeat. It's wisdom. And research shows using stair support can reduce fall-related stroke risk by over 40% in adults over 70. Because instead of showing the world you're still strong, you're showing your brain you want to protect it. And that's the kind of strength your family will thank you for. We all have those stretches when the weather keeps us inside, or we've been feeling under the weather, or maybe we're just tired. So we stay on the main floor, skip the stairs, rest more. And for a few days, that's okay. But here's the danger most people don't see coming. After 2, 3, even 5 days of little movement, your body begins to slow down on the inside. Your blood doesn't flow as easily. Your leg muscles, especially the calves, aren't pumping blood back up to the heart like they usually do. The vessels in your lower body start to stiffen. Blood begins to pool. And when you finally decide, I feel better today, I'm going to head upstairs, you move from complete rest to sudden demand. That's when the clot that's been forming quietly in your veins finds its moment. Mr. Daniel Mercer, age 80, learned this the hard way. A retired school bus driver from Colorado, he'd been resting after a mild cold, stayed downstairs for nearly a week. But one afternoon, feeling stronger, he climbed the stairs to reorganize a closet. Halfway up, he felt pressure in his head. Not pain, just a strange tightness. By the time he reached the top, his right leg gave out. He collapsed. By the time we saw him, he couldn't speak. He'd suffered an embolic stroke. A clot, likely formed during those quiet days, had moved the moment his system was shocked by exertion. He told me later in rehab, I thought I was getting back to normal. I didn't know normal could be dangerous. So here's the message. After any period of rest, illness, recovery, even a lazy weekend, don't jump straight to the stairs. Start slow. Walk on flat ground. Stretch. Drink water. Give your blood a reason to flow again before you challenge your heart and brain. Because it's not just about feeling ready, it's about making sure your circulation is too. Sometimes the greatest danger isn't what you feel, it's what you can't feel. You place your foot on the next step, but you don't fully sense the edge. Your heel doesn't land quite right, and before your brain can react, your weight has already shifted. A small misstep becomes a serious fall, or worse, a trigger for stroke that no one sees coming. That's the silent risk of neuropathy. In older adults, especially those with diabetes, nerve damage in the feet is common. It dulls your sense of position, it blunts your balance, and when you climb stairs where every step depends on precise footing and timing, that numbness becomes more than an inconvenience. It becomes a threat. Mr. Stanley Green, 75, a retired lineman, had numbness in both feet for years. He chalked it up to aging, never used a cane, still climbed down to the basement each morning to feed his cat. One morning, he missed a step, but didn't realize it. He stumbled sideways, hit his shoulder, thought he was fine. By that evening, he slurred his words. His right arm was limp, a stroke, caused by a clot that formed after the fall, likely from a tear in a vessel near the neck. It wasn't the fall that hurt him, it was the internal injury that brewed quietly until it struck. Neuropathy is dangerous because it tricks your brain. You don't feel the misstep, you don't brace for impact, and sometimes you don't even know you're hurt until it's too late. So if you've ever felt numbness, pins and needles, or a lack of coordination in your feet, take it seriously. Use the railing. Wear non-slip shoes. Take each step slowly. And if your doctor recommends a cane, use it. Because when your body can't feel the edge, your brain takes the fall. The house is quiet. The dishes are done. You've read a chapter from your book, maybe watched a little television. You're tired, ready for sleep. So, like you've done for decades, you make your way upstairs to bed. It feels like the safest moment of the day. But what if I told you that those final few steps, taken late at night, with your body preparing for rest, could quietly push your brain toward a stroke? That's not fear-mongering. That's physiology. As bedtime approaches, Your blood pressure begins to drop naturally. Your heart slows. Your vessels relax. It's how your body winds down. But climbing stairs, even just a flight, suddenly demands effort. Your blood pressure spikes, briefly but sharply. Your heart pumps harder, and if your arteries are stiff or narrowed, that surge can create turbulence inside your vessels, especially if you're mildly dehydrated from the evening, or if you've taken blood pressure medication, or had a heavy dinner earlier. That combination, spike, stiffness, and slowed nighttime circulation, is exactly what can cause a clot to form or move. Mr. Henry Lawson, a 78-year-old retired fire chief, believed his nightly stair climb kept him fit, and for years it seemed to. Until one morning his wife found him sitting on the edge of the bed, unable to speak. He'd had a stroke during the night. His scan showed a clot that likely formed from the vascular stress of that final climb, then lodged in his brain while he slept. He had no warning, no pain, just a small effort at the wrong time. So here's the takeaway. If your bedroom is upstairs, climb up earlier, not right before sleep, ideally 30 to 60 minutes after dinner, before you wind down, and never when dehydrated, distracted, or fatigued, because it's not just about going to bed. It's about protecting your brain while you do. And that's a habit worth changing, starting tonight. By now you might be thinking, if climbing stairs can be this dangerous, should I avoid them altogether? The answer isn't to stop moving, it's to move smarter. Stairs aren't the enemy. Poor timing, bad habits, and rushed decisions are. Here's what I recommend to every older adult who wants to stay strong, independent, and stroke-free. First, timing matters. Don't climb stairs right after waking, eating, or taking stimulants. Wait. Let your body adjust. Drink water, stretch, breathe. Second, use support. The railing isn't just for decoration. It's your anchor. If your doctor gave you a cane, use it. You're not giving in. You're taking control. Third, see the light, literally. Install motion-activated nightlights near staircases. Poor visibility is a hidden threat. Don't walk in the dark, no matter how well you think you know the steps. Fourth, pace yourself. Take one step at a time. Breathe with every move. Rest when you need to. You're not in a race. You're protecting your future. Fifth, keep your body moving daily. Even light walking or stretching keeps your blood from pooling and lowers clot risk. And finally, listen to your body. Dizziness, numbness, fogginess. These aren't inconveniences. They're warnings. Don't ignore them, because the goal isn't to avoid stairs. It's to own them safely with confidence. One smart step at a time. Every step you take after 60 carries more meaning than it used to. More risk, but also more power. Strokes don't always come with a warning. Sometimes they arrive quietly, a clot forming while you sleep, a slip that seems minor, a single surge of pressure in the wrong vessel at the wrong time. But the good news is, now you know. You've seen how breath, timing, support, and simple habits can either protect your brain or put it in harm's way. And you're not powerless. In fact, you have more control than ever. Because each time you choose to move slower, to breathe fully, to hold the rail, to wait before climbing, you're choosing life. Not fear, not weakness, but wisdom. So now I ask you, what will your next step be? If this video gave you something new to think about, something worth sharing, leave a comment with the number 1 below. If you think someone in your life needs to hear this, please send it to them. And if you want more truth-backed, life-saving health advice, subscribe now. Your next step matters. Let's make sure it's a safe one.